If we could start with a bow to our viewers
Okay.
and to you, Chhoje Rinpoche, and a moment of meditation.
Okay.
So thank you so much, Chhoje Rinpoche. So, in my defense, I offered clumsily if you would lead meditation, but you invited me to do so. So I'll do my worst. So you could take a good posture, ground your tush. You can kind of wiggle back and forth. You can upright head connected to the heavens. You can visualize hair could be pulling your head up, and then relax. Find your breath. So just your natural breath in and out. Your eyes can be open in this particular practice, and your hands can be on your lap, just relaxed. And if you find any tension, you can do a quick body scan. You can just relax. And if you find your attention wandering, perhaps you're wondering if the audio was working on the video, you might have various thoughts. You can just notice that without condemning yourself, and you can label that thought thinking, and then return to your breath. So any thought that arises, good or bad, happy or sad, you can just label it thinking and return to the breath. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How did I do?
Wonderful.
So this is live, and one thing I love about doing it live is when you mess up, as I have just done, you have to just be present. And that's kind of what Dharma is about, right? Like, none of us are perfect. You might be a little bit more perfect than myself. But when we make mistakes in Dharma, how do we relate to that? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think since we are born in this phenomenal world with our karma, which is a package of karma or load of karma, that itself, the karma is never perfect.
Mm-hmm.
There is always, even good karmas have some kind of stain. And the stain is basically there is always the ego involved with the karma. Otherwise, it wouldn't be a karma. It would transcend from karma. The life force of samsara is karma.
Samsara is confusion,
The
suffering.
confusion, the process of causal process, cause and effect.
And that's what karma is,
That's
right?
what
Cause
karma,
and effect.
Yes, cause and effect. And then sort of the main engine which keeps it running, it's the notion of self, the notion of I, ego, which constantly keeps it moving. So even when there is something good, we designate it as something good, but always there is some kind of self behind. And that self is a fixation, in other words. Self is nothing more than a fixation. So does whatever comes out of that fixation of a self, our other emotions, aggressions, jealousy, whatever thoughts, are all somehow some kind of fixation.
We take ourselves or our life seriously.
Yes.
And we make it solid.
Yes, we make it solid, permanent, the notion of permanent. We miss seeing impermanence quality. We miss seeing that
Right.
inherently there is no such thing as a fixation, or there's no such thing as permanent, and that's where we get trapped. So in that phenomenal state, then the karma has the notion of some kind of impure phenomena. This is called samsara. Otherwise, there will be no samsara. So when that happens,
And samsara again is us suffering or being confused.
yes, confused. Samsara is fundamentally is a confused experience of mind.
Right.
There's no samsara outside than one's own confused mind. So does nirvana also. There's no other nirvana than a awakened mind, Buddha mind, basic goodness. It's awakened mind. That's also mind. Confused mind is also mind.
So nirvana isn't enlightenment.
Nirvana is enlightenment.
It is.
But enlightenment is experienced in the mind, as well as confused is also experienced in the mind. Both are mind. So the experience of impure phenomena, which basically karma, the structure of karma involved, then that reason there is impurity is due to the ego, you know.
Right.
So even we try to do something good, but as long as you do it the way I like, then it's okay.
Right.
You see, we always have a bias.
Because you have a fixed idea.
Fixed idea, yeah. Exactly. So that's why it does some kind of impure. Now, when the situation happens that way, then I think the teaching of Buddha, from the Hinayana level to Mahayana level, very powerful to transform that kind of situation. From the Hinayana level, it's basically a foundation of ethical teachings. It is, for instance, the antidote for aggression is gentleness. Mm-hmm. The antidote for desire is ugliness. That's how the monks, you know, when they have desire, of course, simply wearing a robe that doesn't take your desire away.
Right.
But one would have all kinds of emotion if there is some kind of circumstance that you happens to see a beautiful girl, or, you know, whatever, you're feeling attraction to an object. Then the way a particular desire, in order to overcome for a celibate monk, they would visualize ugliness, like inside of our body, which is real, not making it up. There's lungs and guts and, you know, mucuses and everything. Yeah. And of course, when you try to meditate on that,
and pee,
exactly, then you would have no desire if you start doing that.
Right.
So that's how they overcome. That's the antidote.
But desire, what's interesting there is we were taught that. So I grew up in a Buddhist community and family, and we were taught that, and we weren't monks or nuns, but it was simply because desire, while it's not bad to be attracted, you know, love and sex and all that isn't bad, but the desire, the attachment, the fixed part of that is the problem, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of confusion about sex. There's a lot of confusion. So what is, in the Buddhist teaching, there are levels of working with desire. How a desire is worked on the Hinayana level, how the desire is transformed on the Mahayana level, and how it is understood on the Vajrayana level. So you see, it's not the same working process on all the stages. It depends on the person's, how much he or she is able to deal with that. So therefore, there are different teachings: Hinayana teaching, Mahayana teaching, Vajrayana teaching, Mahamudra teaching, Dzogchen teaching, all the different levels. Obviously, not everyone is same how they deal with the situation. Mm-hmm. But now, then, I was just trying to explain about the karma, how we dealt with that impure or vulnerable situation, that like a fatal attraction, that desire can trap you. So certain people feel comfortable to be in a secure environment, which is monastery, abbey.
Right.
So they feel they're protected in that environment, and they follow a path, and they get stronger. At the beginning, there is disengagement in
Right.
some way.
You simplify.
Yes.
Yeah.
But later, the point of Dharma is not disengagement, but in fact, engagement.
I love that. Yeah.
You see, disengagement is while you're training and learning, so that you become strong and
Right.
you gain experience.
Right.
Once you gain the experience, then you should be out there. Otherwise, there will be no bodhisattva practice. Bodhisattva practice is engagement, not disengagement.
And the bodhisattva practice is so fun and so inspiring. What is the point of that? To be of service to others, or
it's a reality. The point is reality. You see, the whole Buddhadharma has to work according to reality, which is very interesting.
Right.
When you look at the teaching of Four Noble Truths, historical Buddha, after his enlightenment, he gave the first teaching is Four Noble Truths. But when you really investigate and analyze and study the nature of the Four Noble Truths, it's not an invention of Buddha. It is a reality which he discovered.
He was just describing reality.
Yes, he was describing reality. From that point of view, you can see really there is no conversion in Buddhism. Buddhism just expresses a reality, what is there.
Right.
You see.
And the Dalai Lama, I love this, the Dalai Lama said if he finds that historical Buddhism and science contradict each other, then we will go with the science.
Yes.
It's so interesting.
Yeah, Buddha himself said, don't take my teaching because I said so. Check it, analyze, investigate, and if you find that is true, then only you should take so. Right. So Buddha himself, I think it's called the lion's roar. The analogy of the lions in the jungle, when the lions roar, all the other small wild animals, whatever other animals, they tremble hearing the sound. So when Buddha has nothing to hide, totally open, and therefore he proclamation of that, check it, analyze, and if you think it's right, take it. Don't take it because I said so. So that really gives us, as a student of Buddhadharma, for us to go and search and question. Just simply one is born to a Buddhist family doesn't mean that you got to follow it.
Right.
You see, your enlightenment, your happiness, your realization is your personal responsibility. Only you can do it. No one else can do it for you. Like if you are hungry, only we can satisfy by eating that. Somebody else eating is not going to work. Same thing, you know, your realization is your response. Only you can do it. So therefore, Buddha showing the path of Buddhadharma is a journey of a person. You know, one person journey on the path, starting as an ordinary person, like Buddha himself was an ordinary person before, and then over the, according to the Mahayana teaching, 3 endless years of accumulation of merit, and finally he achieved realization, enlightenment in Bodh Gaya under the Bodhi tree.
That was the Buddha.
But that was the historical Buddha.
For 3 eons.
3 endless eons, he says.
Wow.
The amount of compassion and wisdom to develop. Now that's from the Mahayana point of view.
And that's the point of Buddhism overall, is to develop our inherent or natural compassion and wisdom.
Yes. Yes. You see, that's the reality again. Why to bring compassion? And why compassion is beneficial to us? Because that's what brings us happiness. You see, we all fundamentally, our whole aim of doing Dharma, or whatever we do, whether someone's approach thinking atheism will bring happiness, or eternalism will bring happiness, or nihilism, people think that will bring me happiness. So that goal is common, regardless what we believe.
Any religion,
atheism, any ideas, any music, you know, one's favorite. One thing I will get happy by listening to that or by doing that.
Or sports. Or,
exactly. So since money, everything. So since that is fundamental, say happiness is a fundamental, but many times we get wrong that instead of experiencing or achieving happiness, we end up with a lot of suffering and confusion due to ignorance and our wrong act.
Like in the case of money, you can think, oh, money will make me happy.
Yes.
And then work really hard for 40 years.
Yes.
And then buy a Porsche.
Yes.
And then the Porsche breaks down.
Yes. Yeah, that's conditional suffering.
Right.
So that's samsara. So now whole point of Dharma is nothing more than trying to achieve a happiness which is connected with liberation.
So true happiness.
True happiness.
Right.
Liberation and happiness. Because anyone who is confined can never be happy, we know. You see. So therefore, when you look at the nature of the Buddhist teaching of emptiness, emptiness is liberation. Because emptiness is liberation from fixations, all kinds of fixations.
What is emptiness? It's the lack of fixation?
It's not only lack of fixation, the total transcendence from fixation, emptiness.
Is that the same as shunyata? The
Absolutely.
Same word? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Shunyata is the Sanskrit word. In English, we would call it.
I'm just trying to show off that I knew that.
Emptiness basically, I think one way of looking at emptiness from the Mahayana point of view is the interdependent phenomenon, interdependent nature. All emotions, thoughts, events, mountains, waters, everything is interdependent phenomena. There is no one such thing makes a thing. Whatever that thing is, good or bad, or whatever we label it, are all designated due to interdependence.
They're all connected?
All connected. One situation is so many factors.
Right.
Like, you know, to have a body, that's mean like 2 arms and 2 legs and head, and the whole thing makes a body. Right. There's not one just simply an eye. We take an eye and say, do you see a body? People think you're crazy. Right. It's just an eye. We label it, changes that. Right. So phenomena do not really have any solid, permanent existence as we think there is. I think our main problem in life, suffering, comes from this idea, notion of permanent. Everything is so real, and get fixated to that. While by nature is inherently devoid of such permanent entity, you know, devoid of inherent existence.
But like when your teacher, you loved your teacher, Chhoje Rinpoche, very much. When he passed away, you were very sad, I'm sure, because his fixed reality of a body was no longer there.
Yes.
So is it okay to be sad when things change?
Of course, I was very sad. You know, my teacher is the one who showed me the way of Dharma, opened my eyes.
From when you were a little child?
Yes. I was recognized by 16 Karmapa when I was 1 year old.
Karmapa was a great teacher.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
One of the greatest teacher of Tibet.
And he met you when you were a little...
He didn't met me.
Oh.
He saw through his vision where I was born, and then they came finding for me.
In a village somewhere?
Yeah, in Ladakh, in village.
Wow.
There was a letter by 16 Karmapa. He described, he'd never seen my family, with my family situation, where it's situated, how old I was, everything. You know. So that's how Karmapa.
You said a baby with black hair, very handsome, very funny. Yeah.
So very kind. He showed me his Karmapa, extremely kind.
And you met the Karmapa?
Yes.
Yeah.
I met the Karmapa.
Did you get to study with him, or?
No, I didn't go to study with him. His son is Karmapa asked my other teachers who were very close with him to send me to Rumtek. But somehow I have, you know, strong karmic connection with Dujum Rinpoche.
Right.
So when I went to Dujum Rinpoche, later his son is Karmapa told my father that now you don't have to worry, your son is with his son Dujum Rinpoche, and his son is Karmapa was very happy I was with Dujum Rinpoche.
Sure.
So I was very fortunate to study with them.
Yeah.
So of course I felt very sad when he passed away, but I never felt. I always feel him alive because from the teaching he gave me, and So in some way, yes, I miss the physical part,
Right.
but he's very much alive.
So you weren't angry that he died?
No.
And you didn't suffer like samsara. You didn't feel anger or...
No. In fact, it makes me realize I got to work harder now. Yeah. Now, before I can rely on my teacher, his soul is always there if I question. Now I'm by my own, so I better do study and practice hard. And fortunately, I have my other teacher, Chhoje Rinpoche, amazing teacher, who was one of the Treaty major Dzogchen master. And
Dzogchen is a great tradition.
A great tradition of Nyingma in the lineage. And Rinpoche has been very kind. And so these are my great teachers. Yeah.
Very fortunate.
I'm very fortunate. Yes. Yeah. Meeting the Dharma, meeting those teachers, very fortunate.
So now you have 2 monasteries in India?
Yes. One in Ladakh, one in Darjeeling.
Okay. Yeah. And you run those, or you're the leader of those?
I run those monasteries.
Yeah. And how many students are there, or monks? Or
we have about 30 monks and 30 and 7 nuns. Yes.
And they're all mixed up together?
That's a good question. I'm trying to right now together, but trying to create a little space in between.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, when you put monks and nuns together, sometimes
you have to leave room for the Holy Ghost. It's a little Christian humor. And then you just started a center here in the United States.
Yes.
In Denver.
Yes. I came in America in 1987 or 88. And I taught in California. But then in between, I didn't taught for many years. And I was involved more in Asia.
You didn't teach?
Yeah, I taught for a while, and I didn't taught for a while. Yeah.
You just wanted to have fun and party?
Not really. Not really. Yeah, definitely. Why not? Have fun. That's the main thing of Dharma, to have fun and happiness.
I know, I like that about you.
Absolutely. After all, Dharma never says you should suffer, and that's the nature of the Dharma. But some other, whatever the, one would say, karma or whatever, then I did like a 3 years retreat.
So you studied and practiced meditation a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did it.
And you have to do that so you can be a good teacher.
Absolutely.
Right.
Not only a teacher, but mainly to benefit myself. I have to meditate.
Yeah, my teacher, the Sakyong, who was just here last week, he, in the 90s as well, maybe you're a similar age, he spent most of his time, a little time teaching, but most of his time studying and being in retreat.
Yes. Particularly Nyingma Kagyu tradition is the lineage of practice. The 4th school of Tibetan Buddhism, Sakya, Gelug, Kagyu, Nyingma. Gelug is more like academic. Of course, there are practitioners also there. But Nyingma and Kagyu particularly is the lineage of practitioner. If you look at the Longchenpas, then Milarepa, all these great masters were like great meditators.
Right.
And that's what we try to follow, the lineage master, how they did.
So Longchenpa and Milarepa are 2 great heroes of Buddhism.
Yes. Definitely.
And Longchenpa is a great quote, which we actually have on our business cards, about how the nature of reality, and you might as well just laugh. You know that quote?
No.
I can't remember it off completely, but he says, since nothing is good or nor bad, and everything just is as it is, reality is what it is, then one may as well burst into laughter.
Yes, that's true.
And I love that quote.
I think that's the beautiful thing. The enlightenment has a tremendous sense of humor.
Yeah.
Because the reason there's a sense of humor, because one transcends fixation. That's why it makes a sense of humor.
Right.
When one doesn't experience emptiness, then it's difficult to have sense of humor. So emptiness not only is a realization, but it's a wholesome of liberation enjoy,
Mm-hmm.
where there's a sense of humor as
Right.
part of his expression, which is compassion in reality. The sense of humor is a compassion.
Right. It's not just flippantly
Yeah.
not taking anything seriously
Yes.
or making fun of people,
Yes.
but
It's a
being
message.
delighted.
Yes, absolutely.
That's interesting. That's kind of what I liked actually about the beginning of this conversation is I was messing up and the video was messing up and that like the way I was brought up. I went to a Buddhist summer camp for children, and our slogan on our T-shirts, the quote on our T-shirts said, "If you lose your mind, come back." So it was very profound because they didn't say, "Don't lose your mind, be perfect, be present." They said, "When you lose your mind, when you're not present, all you have to do is come back."
Yes.
And it was very relaxed. It's much more real. It's not trying to be perfect.
Yes.
Are you a monk or are you married or?
I'm not a monk.
So do you have a family or?
Yes, I do have family.
So how, I asked the Sakyong this too because he has 2 children now. How do you teach your children Dharma or do you let them decide or how does that work?
You mean you teach it Dharma?
Like for all the parents out there,
Mm-hmm.
maybe they want their children to study meditation or Dharma,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe the children want to play video games or play baseball.
Mm-hmm.
How do you advise parents relate with children about Dharma?
I think that's very important, relationship between the parents and the children, because the childhood, the early childhood is one of the most important time of shaping a human being. So I think teaching compassion from an early age, I think essential. I think teaching meditation is too early for a little child.
Yeah.
They may not grasp that. But teaching compassion is really important, such as giving examples of saving lives. You see, you don't kill a bug. Very simple thing. And these are very powerful. When they grow up, it kind of like, sticks in their mind.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, it was really fun. I had a big stick and I was bashing trees and knocking the branches off.
Yeah.
And it was really fun. And my mom or someone said, "Oh, don't do that. It hurts the trees. The trees makes the trees
That's
sad
true.
or something."
Exactly.
And I always remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think that upbringing, I think today modern education, though they're wonderful education, but I think what's missing is compassion. And that's where there are so many problems arises. Even people are educated, but sometimes seems to have no common sense. And I think that's lack of compassion and warm-heartedness. I think that should be taught in the school. I think, and I think today more and more studies are done. The relationship between mind and science, all those things are really helping for us to understand that why so important the compassion should be taught from an early childhood, and that leaves a really strong imprint in our mind when we grow up, and that's where we find happiness, healing in our family, healing in our community, healing as a society, and more open and tolerant society instead of harsh judgment to what preference people lifestyles are. People have all kinds of lifestyle. I think we should accommodate all of them, not judging them. That's really the Dharma. Dharma is never about judging and being harsh. Dharma is accommodating. As you said, you feel comfortable that when you lose your mind, come back to it. You see, it is for everyone. Dharma is for everyone, and everyone has the potential to realize that. So no one is excluded in the Dharma from that point. So the bringing of the childhood, gradually building them up is very important.
So how do you teach a child about compassion? Because often parents aren't that cool, like children will say, that's boring, that's silly, I want to do bad things, I want to get into trouble because it's more fun.
I think, as I said, giving examples such as like you see a spider, and you don't crush that spider, trample on that, but rather try to save, whether it's little ant or spider or some bugs, you show respect to a life. Then people learn to respect themselves. And when they learn to respect themselves, they learn to respect others' feeling at the same time. I think that's really what Dharma is about.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're well.
So why, I wanted to ask, since it's a lot of work, why are you teaching in America? Because you spend half your time here and half your time in India, right? Why is it important to you to have a center here?
I guess it's my karma.
Mm.
You know, I'm not historical Buddha that I can see every minute detail karma, you know, how this is happening. But definitely I can say quite, you know, with confidence, it's a karma, definitely. If there's no karma, you don't meet people. But historical Buddha, according to the teaching of the karma sutras about the teaching of karma, cause and effect.
Sutras are the teachings.
Sutra, yeah, sutra teaching. It explains, even if you feel a little breeze coming, there's some subtle karma from the past.
Right, because everything's interdependent.
Everything is interdependent.
Right.
So I think I've been in this country for a while, and personally I would choose, if I have a choice, I would go to a mountain and do meditation.
Right. Really? That's what you most would enjoy?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you say yes.
So meditation is fun for you?
Absolutely.
Uh-huh.
But then that sounds selfish.
Mm-hmm.
I've been recognized as a Lama, and I was fortunate to meet my teachers and get their blessing. And I think if there is something, little contribution I can give to my karmic connected to this society, to America right now, I'll be very, you know, happy, simply,
right.
that I'm able to contribute to people's happiness if I can do something for them.
And so that's Mahayana, kind of, right?
Mahayana, yes. Bodhicitta
is offering it, trying to be a benefit to others.
Yes, yes.
And what is bodhicitta?
They try to benefit others.
Okay.
That's bodhicitta.
It's the seed of Buddha or something, compassion.
Seed of compassion.
And so everyone always asks me, because they know I'm a weird Buddhist person, they always say, so Buddhism, people seem to know that Buddhism says that all sentient beings, all people are basically good or have bodhicitta. But then how is it that we're so mean and we do such horrible things and we don't have compassion frequently and we don't even want to often and we have wars and we rape, we do horrible things? How can that be if we're good?
I think we have to look further deeper then. That's a very big question, and that requires looking deep inside. So when we look deep inside, where it begins as an individual, I think we have to look at as an individual, not look at as a whole.
Okay.
You know, I think if we look at as individual, we can, our own problem is same problem everyone else is having.
Right.
And that fundamental problem is confusion, ignorant. And ignorance is not something like you don't know anything. Generally, there is, according to traditional teaching, there's two kinds of ignorance. One is ignorance of not knowing cause and effect, what brings happiness and what brings suffering, not knowing that.
So I might eat too much food because it makes me happy, but then I feel bad.
Yes, so you don't have balance, you lose the balance. So ignorance in cause and effect. And the second is the ignorance in reality, not knowing reality. Reality in this case is emptiness. And the other ignorance is cause and effect. So then when we look at the reality, ignorance of not knowing reality of emptiness, that starts with misconstrued intelligence. Ignorance is not just stupid in a sense, but it's smart to make you think in a wrong way. You see, and that is the fundamental fear of survival. The notion of I is like the notion of I. But when you really look, who is this I? Who are you trying to protect? You never know. You couldn't find. But it's like a bad dream. You see, you see so many things. When you wake up, it's not real. So that's how. But you experience a bad dream, and you are very much caught up in that fear.
So life is a dream.
It is like a dream.
Like this is a dream.
It is.
Uh-huh.
You see, very interesting. So many times you see our emotions, since we get so fixated and take them as so real and solid, we project a lot of things on other people.
Right. It's your fault.
It's your fault. And someone you don't like, you think, oh, that person is he or she doesn't like me, and that person is my enemy, or whatever.
Right.
But actually, and we have this notion behind our mind that he or she hates us all the time. But the reality, he or she doesn't have time to hate you all the time. There are also many other things to do in life. They have to eat, they take a walking, and they're dancing, happy. They're not hating you at those times.
Right.
But we have this notion behind our head, he or she is hating me all the time. But so that kind of wrong notion puts us in a very weak situation, neurotic kind of situation. And that brings suffering to us.
Because we're fixed.
We are fixed.
Yeah.
The result is we are the sufferer. No one else. We suffer more than...
It's like the quote about the stone, right? The Buddha, if you have the hot stone.
Yes.
Do you know that one?
No.
I might be saying it wrong, but it's, what is it? Like aggression only hurts yourself because you're holding on to this burning hot rock, and you think somehow that is going to make stuff right, but really just you're burning yourself.
Yes, that's right.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're the Rinpoche. Yeah. So one final question: when we are bodhisattva on the bodhisattva path, I think I'm on that path. I'm trying to help other people because it makes me happy on some level, and it makes less suffering, hopefully, for other people. But the downside of it for me, because I'm not good at it, is that I don't take care of myself all the time. I think many people are like that, like a mother or a father or someone who works all the time. So they're doing good bodhisattva service, but then they don't take care of themselves, and then they get very serious and fixed about how they're not happy. So how can you both, like Hinayana and Mahayana together, how can you help other people but also take care of yourself?
Very good question. There is saying two kinds of accomplishment. For yourself, realization of Dharmakaya or emptiness for yourself. That transcends you from all kinds of problem, stress, fixation, all those things. You're free. For others, through the expression of your physical activity, such as what you're doing to benefit the Dharma. So you need both. That's why there's two bodhicitta, relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. Right. You need to combine those two, and then there's balance.
So relative is conditional or everyday bodhicitta?
Yes, every day, your actions, what you're trying to bring people together. So
what you're actually doing in your life to be of benefit.
Exactly, exactly.
And then what's absolute?
Absolute is reality, ultimate reality. The reality of phenomena is devoid of any inherent existence, emptiness. That is the absolute bodhicitta. If we don't realize that, then compassion alone cannot make a person enlightened, because our compassion is emotion. General relative compassion is emotion. We can fixate it to the point we can again lose that compassion if we are too fixated. I think that's what Trungpa Rinpoche, spiritual materialism, cutting through spiritual materialism, is about that. How to cut that taking credit to that compassion. Then again, once falls down in samsara, you can get a better rebirth or some better condition, but you're not going to get out of samsara. So you need both bodhicitta, relative and ultimate, two kinds of bodhicitta.
So I need to do good things like relative bodhicitta, but then also I need to remember absolute bodhicitta, that none of it's that serious or something.
It's reality. You have to get touch in reality. The reality of nature of emptiness. So when that's what awake Buddha means awaken into that state. And that state there's no separation of emptiness here and activity here. They're combined.
Right.
Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. There's
Right.
no emptiness beside form, there's no form beside emptiness. It's a union, absolute oneness, non-dual. There's no duality in that. That's the ultimate realization.
And that's like the Heart Sutra, what you were just
Heart
saying.
Sutra,
which
as
is
well
about
as the meaning,
emptiness.
as well as the essence of Tantra, is same thing.
Tantra or Vajrayana.
Tantra, Vajrayana, yes.
And maybe one final small question. Not small. It's ironic I said that. So some people are offended, some Buddhists are offended by the term Hinayana because it means narrow or smaller vehicle or first vehicle. So what do you say about that?
I think that's, you see, that's it has to do with our fundamental sense of survival and ego.
Right.
You see, all those teachings are very great teachings.
Yeah.
The Arahats, we bow down.
The Arhats are the
Arahats,
Hinayana
yes,
masters.
yes,
Yeah.
they're very great.
Right.
Then Mahayana Bodhisattva was very great. What he's saying is, when you think of just for yourself, even you may be doing a Mahayana practice, but the level is smaller because you are only concerned for yourself. That makes it Hinayana in reality.
Mm-hmm.
And even, let's say, a Hinayana labeled person with a very big heart, big compassion, that will take that to the Mahayana level in reality.
Right.
So it's, you know, the sound may not sound very comfortable. I know, you see, Hinayana is small. Nobody likes to think themselves, I'm small. Everybody likes to think I'm big and great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. But the basic idea is that, yeah, I think you explained it well, actually. But just that it's not pejorative. It's not a bad thing. Hinayana isn't bad.
Oh, no. It's Buddha's teaching.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of Buddhadharma, Four Noble Truth. It's a very great teaching. People who does those practice will find happiness. And then gradually it will open the heart more, go deeper, and that's Mahayana, naturally. And naturally then you go to the highest level, is naturally Mahamudra and Dzogpa. So it's a reality. It's all about, you know, opening more and getting more free, and it's all about that. It's a natural process in some way.
But those paths that are Theravada or don't traditionally do the Mahayana or the Vajrayana, they have all the yanas maybe within their path.
Yes.
Because they attain enlightenment, and they, right?
Yeah. After all, when you look at the whole 9 yanas, for example, according to the Vajrayana teaching, we have the whole 9 yana in Tibetan Buddhism. And when you look at the 9 yana from one angle, 9 yana is a reference, you see. The ultimate reality, there is no reference. To emptiness, you can't say number 1 emptiness, number 2 emptiness.
Right.
There is no such thing as first level emptiness.
Right.
But we label those first bodhisattva, bhumi yana, second yana, third yana, in terms of the subjective experiencer. How much open they are. So there's a reference of some kind of ego in some sense. Their whole yanas are based on some reference. Emptiness itself is transcendent reference. There is nothing to say, this kind of emptiness or that kind of emptiness. That'll be strange. That'll be the new discovery of Buddhism. What different types of emptiness. There is no such thing.
So like Vajrayana emptiness and Hinayana or Theravada emptiness are the same.
As far as
reality.
The example is put, like, as I said, it depends on the subjective, not if I can use the word objective. I don't know how in English that will go, because I never studied much. I learned from hippies my English, so my grammar is weak. So let's look at this way. So the subjective point of view is called Hinayana, Mahayana, Vajrayana, not on the objective, let's say, if that's the right word.
Correct.
As far as emptiness is concerned, it's one nature. There's no two, there's three different kinds of emptiness.
Right.
So
there's
traditional
absolute reality.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Reality. Now, in terms of the experiencer, it is said that the emptiness of a grain, inside the grain is empty. Is very small, right? Grain, subjective grain is very small. So the openness inside the grain is a small space. Now then, let's look like the emptiness of this room. It's much bigger space.
Right.
Then if you look at the sky, it's infinite.
Right.
Now, as far as the essence of that outer space, the essence of this room space, essence of the grain space, it's the same kind of space.
Exact same
Exact
space.
same.
Yeah.
But as far as the holder is concerned, there's smaller and bigger and the infinite.
Right.
That's how it is.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you so much for your time, Chhoje Rinpoche.
Thank you.
And for everyone who would like to, they can check out padmasambhava-meditationcenter.org. Is that correct? And there will be info and other videos of Chhoje Rinpoche in this blog on elephantjournal.com. And if you're on YouTube, you can subscribe to these videos at youtube.com/Waylon H. Lewis. And Chhoje Rinpoche, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Such an honor.
Thank you.
And a pleasure. Very fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're doing great work.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
All right. And sorry for technical difficulties. We're firing me after this video.